And we are live. You are live. It says, hello, Lorna Saunders.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we are live on the Kate Connor UK page and on Marketing SOS. And this is part of interview, meet, chat, laugh with a business owner every day in June. And today I'm here with the lovely Lorna Saunders from Positive Steps Physiotherapy. Do not make me cry. Actually, maybe you should make me cry because my hay fever is bad. So tears help.
Yeah. Get rid of all the hay fever.
Yeah, get it out of my eyes through tears. Tears with Lorna. And we'll explain why Lorna often makes me cry in a lovely way. So Lorna, tell us who you are. Tell us who you are and tell us who Positive Steps Physiotherapy are as well.
So yeah, I'm Lorna Saunders. So I am a mum of two lovely, lively, feral children currently. And I'm a physio. So I have been a physio for, since 97 I qualified. So yeah, 23 years? I know, scary. So moved down here in 97. So I've actually lived in England longer than I lived in Scotland, which still freaks me out big time. And worked for the NHS for a long time and never thought I'd do anything different. Never thought I'd step into the private sector because my love was working with children. And at that time, there wasn't a need for private children's physio. It was very different, back then. But then had my kids, got married, had my kids. And when my eldest started school, it just didn't all work. Him being at school and the NHS and having an employer, and it just didn't work. And that was when I started to kind of take the first steps of dabbling in a bit of private practice, seeing how it would work. And very quickly, I had to make the decision. So within 2 months of him starting school, I handed my notice in and left. And I just left. That was it. So in the January, when he was in reception, I stepped out of my job that I'd been in for 16, 17 years. And yeah, started my business. So it wasn't Positive Steps back then. It was just me as an independent physio. And I just gradually built up my client base. And then 3.5 years ago, I started, it was growing, and I thought I've got to do more than just be Lorna Saunders because I want to have staff and I want to start to develop. And that was kind of where Positive Steps came along. So 3 years past April, Positive Steps was kind of born. And yeah, we've just grown. We're now, before lockdown, we're a team of 4. So there's 2 physios, myself and Claire, and then I've got 2 physio assistants. So Lynn and Louise, and they kind of follow our advice. So the physios set the programs, but then the physio assistants kind of run with it. And that's just allowed us to grow, and we were just getting really, really busy. And then lockdown happened.
Yeah. And the thing that so we've known each other, you've been a client of mine, we've known each other for about a year, maybe?
More than that, I think.
Yeah. I'm rubbish with time. But the thing that you have, I think you have that I don't think as a lay person like me, when you think about a physio, you aren't to me, you aren't a physio. You're more like, if you believe in Jesus, like Jesus curing the sick. And I was thinking about this last night, right, when I was going to sleep, because what you do, Lorna, not just the output, but the integrity and the heart and the feeling with which you do your job, that results in the most amazing outputs, the stories that you tell and the case studies, and we've talked about this plenty of time, which is where the crying often comes in, is phenomenal. And so when I think of a physio, right, I just think of a physio like, this is where my naivety of physiotherapy comes in, like doing this.
Yeah.
But you might execute what you do through the hands-on stuff, and we'll talk about the challenges in lockdown, but actually your outputs and the reasons why you do it and that heart and soul associated with it spans so much further than any physio business I've ever known. So to take a step out of the NHS, I mean, that must have been a huge everything that comes with the organization, the institution that is the NHS, a huge. Did it feel like a risk? Did it feel like a leap of faith when you
yeah, I felt sick. And then when I left in the January, we had the worst snow that we'd had ever. So I couldn't work, so I couldn't get to my clients. And I was like, what have I done? And obviously it's the security that comes with the NHS. You know, their terms and conditions are phenomenal, their pensions are phenomenal. And I just went, no, see you later.
That's for me.
Don't need that. But what's been amazing, because when I worked for the NHS and when I worked for community children's services, we were able to see the children as much as we needed. And that's changed, not because the NHS has got worse, but just because the needs are growing and growing. So the children that have problems, and adults as well, they're all surviving longer and the needs are more complex. And the NHS physios, they just don't have the capacity to do everything that they maybe want to do. So they're very restricted by what they can do. And I just love the fact that now I'm Positive Steps, we can give what we know is needed, and we can also give partly what the client wants. Obviously, we're, morally, we don't just treat because the client wants it. Obviously, we treat because it's needed, but being able to just give that little bit extra, and also being able to think a little bit differently, and not having to be dictated by, this is the exercise program that we have available to us, so that's the one we've got to use. I can try different things. I can go on courses that maybe the NHS wouldn't have approved of, and because it's not the standard physio course. And we're able to build up that rapport that I used to build up with my clients in the NHS, because you did home visits and you got to know the family, whereas it's much more clinic based, and that's needs led. And we don't have to do that. We do have a clinic that we did use, but most of my kids I see at school or in nursery or at home or at the park, or wherever suits them. And that's the beauty of what we do. And it's having that different outlook that allows the parents and the child to actually really see that we are a bit different, and we do believe them, and we are going to help them. And if we can't help them, we will say that. I've never actually had to say that, but I would. If I didn't think I could do something, I'd put my hands up and say, beyond me, or I do. You refer on. So when you think it's at a point where it needs more than just what I can do, we refer on. But it's just amazing, and that's what keeps me going. That's what, even when I'm overwhelmed and super busy, that's what keeps me going. And the reviews that we get from parents, they make me cry as well, because
we want to hear them. I want you to tell us a story, and I'm gonna embrace myself.
The most recent one that we got that went on the page just the other week. So this was a young girl that came to us. So she's had an infection called transverse myelitis. It's quite rare, but I have seen it before. But it leaves them with quite kind of a lot of fatigue, as well as debilitating kind of weakness. And she'd been through the doctors and the NHS physios, and she was still at the point of she needed a crutch to walk with, and she couldn't get rid of the crutch. And she was told that, well, there's nothing more we can do. That was said to them. And she was,
how old was she?
11, about 11, I think.
Oh my God.
But she was completely, that's horrible to be told that there's nothing else you can do. And she was previously a really active young girl, and they live in the countryside, they were always out on walks, and not being able to do that, how that impacts. And she became really anxious, because obviously the impact of what's gone on, and the level of fatigue she had as well. And that was quite a long time post kind of infection. And we're going to see that with coronavirus. This post-viral fatigue is massive. She'd been affected by that. And she came in, and I think she thought I was a little bit mad. And I do kind of sometimes give a bit of a disclaimer that, you might think I'm off my head, but go with it. So I just started chatting, and I didn't kind of address her leg weakness. I didn't address it. I didn't kind of talk about it, because I've seen cases before where the fact that if you address the weakness, it brings it to their attention and it makes it worse. Yeah. So it used to be seen as, oh, it's in their head. And it's now understood. Now, she wasn't officially diagnosed, but it's got an official name of functional neurological disorder, and it's got a real understanding. There's doctors that are studying it, because it's an actual issue with the wiring. So the brain's fine, it's recovered, the muscles are fine, but the wiring, so the messages to the muscles are not quite working. And if we can key into the automatic, then it works. So you'll see people, and I've seen another girl as well, and she was just as amazing, who wouldn't put her foot down. But then she would do her hair and she'd put her foot down. So people would say to her, well, I know you can do it. And that would just make them, yeah. So we have to key into the automatic. So with this young girl this time, I said, fancy learning to juggle? And she was like, what? And I went, well, can you juggle? And she says, no. I said, right, let's learn to juggle. So I said, right, give me a crutch. We don't need that because we're going to just juggle. So we stood her in the middle of the room and we started to teach her to juggle. So she had to balance, and she had to then, because obviously she couldn't juggle, she was dropping the balls right, left and centre. So she had to step to get them without her crutch. So that's how we started it. Then we started, we went for a walk kind of out in the corridors of my clinic. That's where she came. Yeah. So I'd say, oh, can you just get the door for me? And she'd look at me like, lazy so-and-so. But she'd use her hands and and she'd push the door. And the doors there are quite stiff, so it'd take quite a push. So then and I kept then saying to her, you are just doing amazing and being so positive and reassuring and explaining why this was working and helping her understand. And then just giving her little targets to do at home. And then we started to look at running, which again, she walked with a crutch. Why would you ask her to run?
Yeah.
Because running's automatic. Stairs. We did the stairs. So I said to her, I'll race you up the stairs. And her mum just looked at me, what? I said, yes, we're fine. We'll race up the stairs. So we did. She beat me because it was automatic. She wasn't thinking about it. But then I let her see that she could do it. And I was like, and we videoed her so she could watch it back and go, look, you've just done it. That's how amazing you are. That's how brilliant you are. You know, you can do it. And then we just gradually built it from there. And yeah, like I got an email from mum to say she's been out having water fights in the garden, and mum's review saying that, you know, nobody believed us and everybody said she was beyond help, but Lorna didn't take that, and Lorna believed us, and that's what I try to do. I want them to know that I believe in them and that we can do that. So she's ditched her crutch. She doesn't use it. She's just back to playing football and having water fights. But the reviews let you see how much it means to the families. Because sometimes even I get a bit, it's just what I do. But when you get the reviews and it shows you the actual impact, and that's what I'm all about, is the impact. So what their problem is, how does that impact on their everyday life? And that's what matters. Because that's what matters to you and me, is how something impacts on us. So she was one of them. Like I say, those ones they're amazing, those ones, because for me, they're quite easy to treat and they're really fun. But the rewards are absolutely amazing. And
I guess the emotional impact on the child and on that family, and you can, you know, as a parent, somebody being able to transform your child in that sense, take them from one situation, how they're feeling, and all the feelings associated with it, as well as the physicality, and give them that life back, give them that sense of perspective and freedom. And as a parent, to all of a sudden be seeing your child and the dependency, the kind of independency that you are giving, independent nature that you're giving to that child, means that I can do some stuff as well as they get such an amazing output. So did they know they needed a physio? That makes me curious. Did they know, you know, how did they get to you? How did they?
Well, because the physios at the hospital kind of said, oh, there's nothing else we can do. But I think mum had still started to kind of research, and again, the marketing on social media, keeping that visibility is what's makes such a difference, and that helps. But a lot of my referrals or people get to me through word of mouth.
Yeah.
So either NHS physios recommending because they know that I'm in the area, people that I've been working with us, or even kind of third hand. So it was word of mouth that mum got to me, and she just sent an email, like she said in a review on a Sunday night, and it was very much I'm sure you can't do anything, I'm sure, but I just thought I'd ask. It was that kind of email. And I was like, yeah, we'll get you in. We'll see how you're doing. And the minute I saw her, I was like, yeah, we can do this.
Yeah, I've got this.
Yeah. But she embraced it really well, this little girl. And so she was absolutely on board. The other young lady that I've seen who was very similar, who didn't put her foot down and was on 2 crutches. And again, I got that referral through a paediatric neurologist, so a specialist doctor for children to do with the brain, at Manchester Children's Hospital. She referred to me because I've had some dealings with her. So that was quite high pressure when it was one of her friends, like, yeah, see if you can treat them because no one else can. And that took longer because she was shy and she thought I was absolutely off my head. And when I was trying to get her to like sing and dance, and she used to just look at me like, I just want to crawl into a hole. This is just horrendous. So that took longer to just build up that rapport and to get her to understand that I wasn't off my head, and to get her to practice and to do the things that would key into that automatic reaction. But I cried. I don't cry very often in front of my clients. I cried that day because when she finally did it, and the minute she started to do it, I knew we were onto it. So we kept going. I was there for ages that day because I wasn't going to leave until we'd nailed it. And then she always never wanted her family round when we were there. So her brother was in. So I got her brother in first. She showed her brother. That was great. Then mum. And dad wasn't home. Dad was at work. And then he came home. And I was like, go and open the door. Go and answer the door to dad.
Don't make me cry, Lorna.
Without the crutches. And she did. And he was like, oh, and the messages I've had from him, he's called me an angel. Honestly, I still get feedback from him because he's like, I can't believe you've given her life back. And she's done Duke of Edinburgh and stuff since. It's amazing.
There's all of those. Sorry, go on.
No, because she was on 2 crutches, so she wasn't at school. She wasn't doing PE. She wasn't out at break time. She had such a restricted life. She couldn't go out with her friends. She was a dancer. She showed me some videos. Typical teenage girl. She showed me some videos of before, like YouTube videos, her and her mates dancing. And I was like, oh my goodness. And that's what she loved. And so she couldn't do that. And and she also thought she was going mad because she'd been spotted putting her foot down, and she knew that she would put her foot down, but then when she thought about it, she couldn't. So and I had to learn about this condition. It wasn't something that, I necessarily knew about before, but I'm not frightened to hold my hands up and say, I need to go and do some research, leave it with me and I'll be back. And that's what I had to do. And you network and you contact people and you just jump in with both feet really and give it a go. And she was just, like I say, that moment, I don't think I'll ever, in my 23 years of practice, that's one of the most amazing moments when you finally started to just, like you say, put that foot down. It was just phenomenal.
But that is so the few things that you've said that is the tactics that you employ, that you build that sustainable relationship with that family and that child. But the tactics you employ is like you've got your bank of knowledge and your, from the clinical side of things through to the little tools of juggling and stuff like that. It's one of the things that makes you different and special is your ability to both have that bank of knowledge and those tools and whatnot, and then use them appropriately. And I think when you are in any organization, so when back in the NHS or any corporate world, often what people struggle with, then people that then go on to have their own business, is creating that bank, being aware of how valuable that is and actually the breadth of those tools that they need. And when I think that's why it's so hard when someone is in an organization in the corporate world, for example, and someone says, you'd be great running your own business. Go for it. You'd be fantastic. And actually, sometimes the potential business owner doesn't realize that bank of knowledge that they have, the network that they need, the tools that they need, as well as the interpersonal skills and the ability to use them appropriately. And that's one of the things that I think when you tell the story, also your ability to tell that story, but you do so well, the parents see it and the kids feel the output as a result of it. And then also you talked about network and the people that you go to, both when you do research or when you are, you get referrals from people. A lot of time in the clients are so focused on how they reach their end customer. Like, I want to get to you as my customer. And they forget the network that they have and the network that they need and how they can form partnerships with other people who are also helping that same client. And that's where word of mouth, that's where referrals come from, isn't it? It's another way to get to that end client, rather than spending so much time just hammering social media, just trying to get to that end child and family. Actually, if you think around it and look at which strategic partnerships can I form, and that's what you've done. And that's why actually when lockdown hits, and we'll talk about the challenges that lockdown have given for you, that lockdown hits, you still have those partnerships.
Yeah, very much so. And I think, if you'd said to me, 9-10 years ago when I was working in the NHS, or you'll run your own business, I would have never, ever, ever believed it.
Really?
And no, it was never really. I was getting more frustrated where I was, but without Harrison struggling at school, I don't think I'd have necessarily made the jump.
Right.
And I look at some of my ex-colleagues who are retiring from the NHS, and I've been stuck in that rut. And like you say, kind of almost. And I say this to I say this to my families. It's not that I'm a better physio than your physio you've got with the NHS or some, but I am willing to do this, this, and this, and I will make it as fun as I can. I spoke to a little boy on one of my 3 introductory video calls yesterday, and I said, because he has NHS physio, and I said, look, let me know what they've been doing with you and how you've been struggling with it, and if it's a little bit boring, then we'll try and make sure that it's a bit more fun. I said, do you fancy making it into a bit of a kind of workout session? Do you want to do like a kind of personal training session? And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. And it's finding that way that works for that individual person. And that's what we have to do differently every time. So with our adults and with our children, if they want to do it as a kind of a training session, that's what we do. Over lockdown, I've had to really adapt, because motivating kids, and it's getting harder because they are so sick of video calls, and motivating kids over a video call is getting harder, but we're just having to, so I set them challenges. I've had to get my kids involved. I've got a little helper here that sometimes helps me.
I thought you were going to pull Harrison on.
No, I do have my children, but they're banned today. But I have got the kids involved. In fact, the kids are, so I've got a call later on today with a little boy, and my boys come in and they're dressing up today because he asked them, do you have any dress up, and can you dress up as your own superhero? So they're going to come in dressed up as their own superheroes today. And again, I would never have taken my kids to work in the old world. But it's just, and also sometimes you've got to show how to do it. And so I will use one of the kids and I will show them how to do it. And it's just that thinking a little bit differently. And lockdown's just made us do it even more, because I would have never said video calls would have worked for kids or the elderly. And they do, which is just brilliant.
So tell me so we've talked about this, but physio, somebody that has, and actually I was chatting to someone yesterday who lives down in Somerset. She's had massive issues with her shoulder. Her physio has done a video call with her, taught her how to strap it up, and kind of little movements she can do, whatnot. But as a physio, you are used to going, as I said at the beginning. So what has been happening then? What, when you can't do this, what have you been doing?
Well, I mean, it is mad, because one of the conferences that was held last year with physio was hands on or hands off. And I was up in arms. I was like, hands off?
Really?
I was like, that's just shocking. How can you even discuss hands off? And like loads of us were. That was last year. So now we've had to go, sorry. Either let your business go under and let your patients get a bit worse, or we've got to rethink. So lockdown happened. So from the minute lockdown happened, that was it. Face-to-face was out. There was nothing. We went from the week before lockdown, as a team, we saw nearly 50 clients. And lockdown happened. I had to furlough my staff because I can't have my assistant doing video calls. And my other physio also works for the NHS. So she's just 100 miles an hour at the NHS. So it was just me. So we went from nearly 50 calls in a week to, what am I going to do? So we quickly set up video calls, not for all of my clients. They've not all taken me up on it, but I'd say about 60% have.
Okay.
And that's been great. So we do either we go through what their exercises are, and it's amazing how much reassurance I can give over a video call. I even had a husband say, so our husband, we were doing some sit to stand. This lady found it really difficult to get up. So the camera was in front. I was instructing her, telling her what to do, which she knew, but I was just re-emphasising, reassuring. She got up and her husband went, "Oh my God, Lorna doesn't even have to be in the room and you do it better." And I said, "Oh, that's just made my day." Oh, hold on, I've just something's come up on my screen. I was like, that's just made my day, because I always thought, yes, me being there gave them the confidence and gave them the, the reassurance.
Yeah.
But I don't even have to be there. I just have to have my voice coming through the screen. So, that's one way that we've been working. For some of my other clients, that a lot of it is just about the reassurance and about the reviewing, the self-management they're doing and checking in and making sure it's okay. And then for a lot of my children, I use the dynamic movement skills, which is a training methodology that I just absolutely love. And I was embracing that before lockdown.
Yeah.
And trying to get that out to kids in schools. And obviously that's taken a bit of a back seat. But DMS has not taken a back seat, because that has been an absolute godsend really in lockdown, because it's so easy to do. So dynamic movement skills is a training methodology that it improves the nervous system. So it makes the nervous system work better. It fine tunes it, and it makes their motor skills better. So it works on coordination, agility, speed, but most importantly, what it works on is what's called proprioception, which is the ability for
proprioception. Yeah,
that's a big word. It's the ability. It's like a sixth sense. Yeah, it's like a sixth sense. So it's the feet talking to the brain and vice versa, and it's what allows us to fine tune our balance and not get injured when we are playing sport or you're walking on uneven surfaces. And it's what people quite often, kids that have got movement disorders, their proprioception is really poor. People that have had injuries, their proprioception gets affected. So you'll have heard people that have gone over on their ankle as a kid, and they'll go, "Oh, it's never been the same. Always been weak since I went over it as a kid." And that's just because their proprioception's been affected and they've never retrained it. So the DMS is amazing for that. And it works for children that are on their feet but are quite struggle to walk. And it works right through to elite athletes. So it can be for anybody. And that's been brilliant. So some of the kids, we got some mats delivered to just at the start of lockdown.
Yeah.
Other ones are making their own. So part of what I've done as well is I've done a bit of a challenge, a 5-day challenge that people can download for free. And that explains how you don't need the posh mat. You can just do it yourself. And you can start to do some of the movement patterns, some of the footwork, some of the jumps. And it's brilliant. And it doesn't just keep people active. That's the thing, is it actually helps them get better. And the kids that I've been treating that are using it during lockdown, they are getting better at their running's getting better. Their football skills are getting better. Their ability to ride a bike has got better. Now, for them to then go back to their running club or their football team after lockdown, and actually they've improved, that's amazing. Yeah. So we're all expecting everyone to have gone backwards, but if the kids that have been doing this, they're flying. They're really flying. And it's kind of like a 15-20 minute HIIT session. So it's easy to fit into the day.
And we've talked about DMS before, and I've talked about, Poppy, maybe exploring it for Poppy. Is the free challenge something people can still download? Is that still always at a certain time?
Yeah, absolutely. It's still all active and live and can be downloaded. And it's a 5-day free challenge. And what I've always said is that, so I've progressed it, and it gets harder as you go through the days. But if it ever gets too hard or too tricky, then people can contact me, drop me a line, and we can just tweak it so that it meets their needs. Because it isn't easy, it does, and you do it to the best of your ability, but it's hard. It's tiring, it's high intensity, and like you say, there's professional athletes and professional footballers out there that use it as part of their training and as part of their rehab program. So that's how good it can be. And it's from a company called The Running School, and they're just brilliant. And they've just really inspired me in the last couple of years that I've worked with them. And also, like you say, over this lockdown period, because they've been doing some virtual things, but they're more than happy, for me to launch my own free challenge using their kind of system. They've been completely behind that, so that's been great.
So if we can, if anybody finds themselves, particularly thinking about kids, has that child who runs and always falls over, always, Poppy is one of these children. She runs, she falls over. She is the child that bangs her elbow, that trips on her knee pretty much every day at school. So if you find yourself thinking your child might benefit, if we post the link to your free 5-day challenge on the website in the comments, then people can sign up for that. Is that right?
Brilliant. Yeah, and it's at the top of my Facebook page as well.
Okay.
So I'll pin it to the top as well. But yeah,
you.
I mean, give it a go. And like you say, it's for those. It's also those children that run and put loads of effort in, but they seem like they're kind of stuck in the mud. You know, the kids that like they're really trying, but they don't get anywhere. It works brilliantly for them.
There's a metaphor, a business metaphor there as well. I'm sure we could, like the DMS equivalent for business. Well, Lorna, that has been well done with all of the amazing case studies that you have. And I absolutely sincerely suggest anybody looks at your Facebook page and your website and has a read of those. And I challenge them not to cry. I mean, maybe having a gin and tonic at the same time and you know, reading, it's not a good mix. But have a look at Lorna's case study and the Positive Steps Physiotherapy website. Lorna, thank you so much for today. It's a really good reminder to certainly, you know, in lockdown we can get frustrated. Think about kids, we get frustrated with the kids. They're trying to you're trying to do work, they're trying to do work, but actually thinking about them in terms of their physical movement and how they do stuff. And actually this may well prompt people to go, okay, actually, do you know what, maybe that is a bit of a, that there is a connection there missing, that in her brain, the kind of brain to body connection is missing, and it's worth exploring. Brilliant. Right, thank you so much. And
thank you.
I will speak to you later on, lovely. Right.
See you later.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.